Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals. We end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 146. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we're going to be off next week, and we'll be back February 18th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just play it by ear. It's the award season. We might not feel like it.
Exactly. I was going to tell you I'm not doing the Super Bowl commercials. Fuck that. I don't want to do it.
Well, I covered that Serena Williams story, and I was like, oh, let me see if I can find the Super Bowl commercial, because she's doing another one for Michelob Ultra. Yeah. It was kind of stupid.
Oh.
Like, they spent all of that money getting all of those athletes and Brian Cox, and it was just a stupid commercial. You know, you should spend more money on creative.
Yeah, a lot of the commercials are dumb, and you have to watch them all, and then you cover them, and 5 people comment, and half of them are like, why didn't you do this commercial? Or I like this one better. So it's not worth it. But yeah, I'll watch them, and I'll try not to write about it. It's a hard habit to break, but
I mean, if there are some really cool ones, write about it, I guess.
Maybe. We'll see. I'd rather not do it.
All right.
So I've been watching The Bear. I know that came out a while ago, and I'm kind of late to that, but I really like it. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, I don't have Hulu, so I don't watch any of the Hulu shows, but I've heard really good things about it.
Okay, well, I already gave my password to my mom, to somebody else. I'm trying to think if I could give you my password. I've given it to a lot of people. Netflix is going to crack down on the password sharing.
Yeah, well, I have my own Netflix account, but I know that other people are affected by it.
I have one that I share with family, so I don't know, and I pay for it. So we'll see. I also watched The Menu. That's on HBO. I use my dad's password for that.
Yeah, that's how I saw The Menu too. It was on HBO.
Did you like it? I liked it a lot. I thought it was brash and really bold. Same word.
Yeah, it was brash and bold. You know, I'm a simple person. I was like, you know what? The chef is just burnt out. He needs a holiday. He needs to decompress, and he needs to not work at this fancy, stupid restaurant anymore. Like, he needs to just work at a burger joint.
That could explain so much crime, though, you know?
I know it was supposed to be about, classism and the stupid, food culture and, foodie culture, even. And, I like food. I love watching shows about food, and I don't want to feel ashamed that I like talking about food and thinking about food. I think that's a fine hobby to have.
Oh, okay.
For the script, I just thought, the whole Ray Fiennes chef character was just burnt out, and he needed to do something different instead of what he did.
I thought it was, he ran it like a cult, and it was part of that, too, and I liked how smart it was with the characters were so funny. And I don't know, I just thought it was cute. And it was, how it had horror elements to it, too, and I like that. But what's his name?
Holt.
Nicholas Holt. He was excellent. He cracked me up so hard. And so was John Leguizamo. There were a lot of good characters. And the tech bros, oh my God, they were also funny.
Yeah, it was smart and interesting, but it wasn't my favorite film, far from it.
I just liked how bold it was.
I didn't regret watching it, yeah.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was fine.
And you saw Everything Everywhere. Did we talk about that last week or no?
We talked about it a second because you said you hadn't watched the entire thing, that you turned it off.
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing. It was fine. I totally agree that all of the actors deserve nominations. I thought Michelle Yeoh did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Stephanie Sue, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Mm-hmm. She plays the daughter. She was fantastic. Yeah, I just thought all the actors were great. The story was stupid.
Yeah, that's why I tuned out of it. I was like, I have better things to do.
The whole metaverse, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I didn't get the praise for that movie.
at the heart of it was a very sweet and interesting story about family. But why did they have to do so much bullshit around that? I don't know. But it's like, here, we want to tell this story about an immigrant family and like a first-generation Chinese-American daughter. And we have to add all this superhero bullshit just to make the medicine go down.
Ooh, that's pretty deep. I didn't think of it like that. I just thought of it like they were making it up as they went along and they didn't have any rules to it, and I hated that. But I already said that last week, so.
Yeah. Right. But the acting was fantastic. It really was. Cool. Like, there were several moments when I was like, wow, Michelle Yeoh is such a movie star.
All right, I'll try to watch the rest of it if I can rent it for under $10 or something. I'm not going to spend $20 on it again.
It's on HBO.
Oh, it's on HBO now? Okay.
Yeah. Or Showtime, maybe.
Oh, okay. Maybe I got my dad's password for that, too. I do. All right, let's talk about the royals. So this week, the Daily Mail ran an op-ed saying that Charles needs to exclude Harry from the coronation. It's on May 6th, which is Archie's birthday. Like, what are they doing? Like, telling King Charles what to do?
All right, so this was all part of, like, a larger storyline that started over the weekend, which is, I think, started by Buckingham Palace, although I'm still confused about who is briefing and who is leaking what. I think there's a war happening already between Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace.
So Charles and William, basically.
Yeah, Charles and William and their staffs, they're briefing all of this shit. So it started out with a story about how Charles was going to ask the Archbishop of Canterbury to act as intermediary between Charles and Harry. And that Justin Welby, who is the Archbishop, was going to, like, start talking to Harry and start trying to make peace on behalf of the king. And then there was this story about how William doesn't trust Justin Welby and, you know, like, he thinks that the Archbishop is a schemer and, like, that he's too close to the Sussexes. And it's like all this palace intrigue for no fucking reason. And then the Daily Mail gets in on, like, ordering Charles to not invite Harry, or that they're trying to convince Harry to just withdraw completely and say, I'm not coming no matter what. It's legitimately crazy. At no point has anyone said, oh, by the way, Charles just called Harry and, like, they spoke for a while. Like, Charles won't even call his son. Just call your fucking son.
No, they admit that he won't talk to him.
And then there's, like, William is still conspiring and he's trying to convince his dad, like, don't invite Harry. He'll, like, bring Netflix cameras or something. You know, like, we can't trust him.
Yeah.
Harry has made it perfectly clear what he wants. He's laid it all out. He said, you know, they have to call me. They have to apologize to my wife. They have to apologize to me. And, you know, these are all the things that we want. And we want it to be a family situation, not a monarchy situation. They're just not listening to him. They're creating all of this melodrama for no fucking reason.
Yeah, they're drama agents. And then Vanity Fair ran this story that Charles, even though Lilibet and Archie, like, are supposed to inherit their titles, they say, well, Charles hasn't officially given them the titles. And the feeling is, quote, that the titles need to be earned. The royals need to know that they can trust Harry and Meghan not to keep damaging the reputation of the family. So they're holding the children's titles over the Sussexes' head, saying, you know, if you talk more, we're not going to give your children Prince and Princess titles. And I don't think they give a shit, but...
Yeah, Harry and Meghan don't give a shit. At least I hope they don't. And the whole thing of, like, the titles are contingent on what Meghan and Harry do or say, that's been the story for months now. Charles has been telling people, you know, the children's titles are contingent on what's in Spare or what's in the Netflix series. The Netflix series is out. Spare is out. Charles should make up his mind. Does he think that his mixed race grandchildren should have the royal titles that are given to all of his grandchildren or not?
Exactly. And it sounds like they're telling on themselves again, like they did before Spare came out. Like, oh, Harry's going to be terrible to Camilla. Well, because Camilla's a terrible person. It's like they know there's more dirt. And that's why they're doing this, because they're like, oh, you better not tell anything else, because they know Harry pulled his punches.
Yeah, even though they know that Harry pulled his punches, and even though they know that there's more shit out there, there hasn't been an acknowledgement from the royal court or from even the British media saying, like, Harry is making a conscious choice to pull his punches.
Yeah.
Harry has knowledge that could bring down the House of Windsor, and he's choosing not to say it. There has never been that acknowledgement.
Well, there's all these tells that they're given.
Yeah.
Your tweet about this story, where you linked to the story, went pretty viral on Twitter. We'll link that in the post for this podcast. This is 146.
Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, they were all saying basically the same thing, that the idea that Archie and Lilibet's titles need to be quote unquote earned is racist as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, and why does he have different standards for Harry's family?
Yep.
So we mentioned in our last episode that William and Kate went to a food bank empty-handed, and they brought a camera crew with them. And people were still talking about that over the weekend, and a lot of people were calling them out on their poverty tourism, and there were articles about it too.
Yeah. So, and even last week when we were talking about it, I mentioned that, like, that's not the first time that they've come empty-handed to, you know, food banks or refugee centers, and it's pathetic every time. You would think that someone would tell them that.
Yeah, bring something.
And no, they just keep waltzing into these places with their poverty tourism and acting like their presence is enough. It's horrible.
And they don't do a modicum of research on the organization. They ask the dumbest questions. They could bring in a giant novelty check. Like,
and like, Kate didn't even take off her coat.
She must be cold. She's so little.
And they were trying to tell her something about how the food bank operates, and she just kept stuttering. I'm still learning. Bitch, you're 41 years old.
I think she said that because they're like saying how they got a lot of donations. She's like, I'm still learning. She's just trying to make an excuse for not bringing anything with her, I guess. At least that's how I interpreted her dumbassery, although it's hard to figure that out. So speaking of that, I didn't think I set that up, but I probably did. So Kate launched her big early years awareness campaign, and it's like, it's crazy bad. I can't believe it.
It's really bad. So she's been hyping this for weeks. And when Prince Harry's Spare came out, there were all these articles around her birthday saying, like, she's not even worried about Harry. She couldn't care less what's in the book because she's so focused on her new campaign and her new, like, early years project. And I actually thought for a minute that it was going to be something different. It is not. It's the same shit.
So it's basically like, early years are important. Did you know? And it's called Shaping Us. And some of the commenters, they're so funny. They were saying it's like Melania Trump's Be Best. And that's a really apt comparison. She is so much like Melania. So she had this weird claymation video with this kind of fug misshapen baby. It was so creepy. And then she released a little video about her project with like an explainer of what it is. And I wanted to play that. It's like only 30 seconds. I'm just going to play this. This is the whole little video about what her project is.
We often don't realize it, but many aspects of our lives today have their roots in early childhood.
How we form relationships. How we protect our mental health.
How we manage our emotions.
How we cope with stress.
How we see ourselves.
How we learn.
How we love.
Which is why our early childhood shapes the adults we become.
When I saw that, I was like, holy shit, that is so basic. That's like stuff you learn in high school. Like, it's not even, I mean, maybe it's like 101, but how is this her big campaign?
How is this her life's work? Spreading awareness that the early years are important. This is what she spent, according to her office, this is what she spent the last 12 years on, is that the early years are important. That's it.
She had that 5-question survey where people don't know that the early years are important.
Yeah.
And then, like, over a year later, she's like, oh, look, the early years are important.
But you're missing that she had like 2 other campaigns that said the exact same thing in between the 5-question survey and Shaping Us. There was also Big Change Starts Small, and there was like another one. And the Big Change Starts Small, that was the stupid SNL parody type commercial with Martin Luther King and Malala.
Yeah, that was outrageous. We'll link that in this post.
It's been like this the entire time. The entire time that she's been like, the early years they're my life's work. It's always been like this. And even the royal reporters are starting to pick up on it now. Or they're at least calling her out on it now.
So, yeah, experts who work in this field are saying, we've done this for years. We've had our funding cut. We need help. We need concrete ways to address this. And we just need the money. And there's a cost of living crisis. Children's centers are being closed throughout the UK. And this does nothing. It seems to shame people who can't afford to, put their kids in daycare or can't afford things for their children. It seems to shame poor people and families. And when you first said that was what she was doing a couple of years ago, I was like, no, it's not that bad. It can't be that bad. It sounds that bad to me.
It is that bad. It always has been. It has always been about Kate telling parents that if their children aren't being raised in wealthy 2-parent households, that their children are going to grow up to be terrible people.
Consequences, yeah. And
they're going to grow up to be homeless, or they're going to grow up to have mental health issues. She's such a basic person, and she's so fucking stupid that she honestly believes that she's making some kind of bold point.
I watch these, especially the 2 videos she put out this week. Like, these are not parodies. Like, they really seem... I've been following these people for over a decade, yeah? I could not have predicted how bad this was. I mean, you probably could. But I was like, I really am floored by how terrible this is.
Yeah. And what makes it even worse is that she's spending real money on it. This isn't just some dude at Kensington Palace at a dusty desk.
Yeah.
Like, working on some like low budget stuff. Like, she actually spent money on that claymation bullshit. She spent money on the billboard. She spent money on all of these stupid social media videos and like arranging that event at BAFTA. She's just blowing through thousands and thousands of dollars on nothing.
And they're not doing substantive work to support programs already in place.
Right.
And they're not even creating new programs, which would
this is just an awareness raising campaign. This is not leading up to an eventual fundraiser. Here, we're raising awareness of the importance of early years, and here's where you can donate to like a Head Start program.
Or they could, do an education program for new mothers or resources for new families,
Right. You and I sitting here could brainstorm 20 better ideas than whatever Kate has been doing for the past 10 years.
I was going to say, do you want to like analyze it? Like, is she intentionally trying to be as bland and uncontroversial as possible? Or is that really who she is, or a little bit of both? But then I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. It is what it is. And it's despicable.
Yeah, it is despicable. So like Omid Scobie was trying to be really nice in his column about this. He wrote about her and this whole stupid fucking campaign in his Yahoo column.
She's said she's learning about this for over 10 years, basically. There's documentation. It's all in the press. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, right. And that's what her staff, they've been telling people that for 10 years. So Scobie, his basic argument was like, yeah, she could do more, but she's limited by the royal role and like she can't get involved in politics. I fundamentally disagree. And I think that there would be a very easy argument and a very easy path for her to make, which actually raised money for programs that would really help parents and really help kids. And either she doesn't want to do it or she has never thought about approaching the work that way, because she approaches the work centering herself. and making it all about how she is a brilliant early years expert.
Her sister got a whole master's degree in it when she was learning, with air quotes, you know.
I mean, like, think of what Meghan did in just a couple of years. And like, she was able to work out a scheme to get clothes and money to SmartWorks so that women could go back to work. And like they could interview for jobs in like professional looking clothing. She was able to put that cookbook together and raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Hub Community Kitchen and that community. Like, it would just never occur to Kate to do anything like that because she has to center herself.
She doesn't really want to help people.
No, you know, she doesn't. Yeah. She just wants to look a certain way. So that's it.
So she went to, like, to promote this Shaping Us thing, she went to a vendor's market in Leeds because they had a billboard that they were putting up there. I really wonder what it looked like. Like, did it have that, like, lima bean claymation baby on it? Like, what did it
It did.
It did?
Yeah, I saw the photo of it.
Oh, gosh.
It was like a wraparound billboard, like the same that Meghan had for Archetypes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Of course it was. We've talked about this before. They need to copy the Sussexes charity work. Like, actually give money and bring stuff. You know?
They never think about it that way. They just want to copy the superficial shit.
Yeah. And she didn't even buy anything from the vendors.
Yeah. So the whole idea of her going to this Leeds market was that she was gonna do the billboard thing, but she was also trying to talk to vendors about raising awareness of her
how was your childhood? How did you end up here? Oh my god.
And meanwhile, this is a market and people are trying to make sales, and so this florist was giving her a hard sale about like, oh, she needs to buy some flowers and he's gonna give her a good deal on these. And like, she wouldn't buy anything.
She could have asked her security people for some money.
Right.
Like, I'm sure they have cash on them.
So he ended up giving her some free hyacinths, and he tried to ask her if William was going to give her roses, and she was like, no, he never does.
Put up bum.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is be best, is what it is. It's the most bland, useless, you know. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my comments of the week are in Hecate's post about the 45-year-old entrepreneur who has hired a team of doctors and spent like $2 million on anti-aging. I think he uses a lot of filters on his Instagram posts, but he does look very weird and unnatural. I'll say that. So SarahFrancisco said, but why does he look like those people generated by an AI? Is that what looking young at 50 means? Looking like a cyborg? And Sarah said, totally looks like Data on Star Trek Next Generation. What the hell? He did look like Data.
I looked at the photos. It did look like filters, heavy filters.
Yeah, I don't think he's only 45, but whatever.
All right, my comment of the week is from one of the Kate posts about her burning through all that money to make all those stupid videos. And JT says, whoever said this was an Archetypes ripoff was dead on. Kate has a billboard because Meg had one. The color scheme is the same. Kate also has celebrities. She's even trying to create the same kind of hype as Archetypes. Someone posted a side-by-side of Spotify Archetypes, the main icon, with Meg in it, sitting there. And the color scheme and the typeface of Archetypes, it's very similar to what Kate is using now for Shaping Us.
I'll try to find that.
I'll send you a tweet.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think the tweet also has the billboard.
Damn.
But yeah, the copy keening for just the superficial shit is very strong.
Well, the outfits, it's outrageous, but this is beyond, you know?
Oh, yeah. So at the BAFTA thing, Kate wore all red, just like Meghan wore all red when she did One Young World in Manchester.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, red suit.
It's asinine.
I'll have to update the mailing list, sign up for Kate copying Meghan's outfit. And if you're not subscribed to our mailing list, I'll put a link in the post for this podcast.
I mean, if you want me to devote a post to it, I will, if you make the side-by-side.
I don't have to because I set up, so this is kind of inside baseball stuff, but when I do the sign up for the mailing list, I do links to stories we've done. But for the Kate copy and Megan's fashion, I didn't do it always to the story. Sometimes I just put the links in there to say she wore this time and Kate wore it this time, you know.
I get it.
You don't have to write a whole story about it. Yeah. There's so many incidents of this, it's like not even worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And I never even devoted a story to Kate getting the exact same coat or, you know, a cheap knockoff coat of Megan's Burberry plaid blue and green coat. That happened just before Christmas. It was ridiculous.
Who's the single white femaling? Who was the OG?
Leanne Rimes.
Leanne Rimes, yeah. She's Leanne Rimes.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know. All right, well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.
That was a quick one, but it was good.
Yeah, it was quick.